How's it going, guys? So I'm here with my Smackdown review. And before we get started, I got to talk about Raw really briefly here. I was kind of toying with the idea of reviewing it, but I was like, nah, by the time I finished watching all the clips, I was like, we'll just do the Smackdown one. Because at that point, I just didn't care anymore. So we'll talk about it here. So we had another Hell in a Cell match on Raw. This time between Lashley and Xavier Woods. You want to talk about cheapening the Hell in a Cell and just kind of making it feel like an everyday match. It's bad enough we get a pay-per-view littered with Hell in a Cells. I mean, we already just had 3 Hell in a Cell matches in the past week. Now we had a 4th. And Xavier Woods, he might have gotten beaten at the end of it, but he got in way too much offense in this. And aside from that, we had this ridiculous match made for Money in the Bank. No one takes Kofi Kingston seriously anymore, but somehow, some way, they decided now after 2 years, let's shoehorn him back into the world title picture. Now, all of a sudden, we're getting Kofi back into title contention. And it's obvious he's just a placeholder until they could get Brock back in there where we could have that dream match that everyone's wanted to see. That everyone has wanted to see since 2005, pretty much. All the comparisons were made. The amateur wrestler, the body type, all of that. And we're getting it many years later, but it will finally happen. And I'm sure it's going to end up being a pretty good match. Aside from that, these qualifying matches they had on Raw for Money in the Bank, like, what were they even doing or thinking? They put Ricochet over AJ Styles. They put Matt Riddle over Drew McIntyre. Is he ready to get that kind of a win? And it's not even like they even had Drew really selling any injuries from Money in the Bank. Nothing that was visible to my eye, at least. They had a really good story there they could have told. Ooh, the injured, McIntyre, 24 hours after Hell in a Cell. That story could have easily been told on commentary, but it was nowhere to be found. And instead we just get a really confusing upset victory. I don't get it. Just really strange ideas being floated around. Like, why was the cell still there? I mean, I get it. We're still in the Thunderdome, but it's like they were too lazy to take it down, like to disassemble it. So like, hey, you know what? Let's make the most out of it. They decided to go grab a couple of beers after the show, the ring crew, and they said, you know what, because obviously they have the B team there. The sound always sucks on the shows, and we're going to talk about that on SmackDown, the really low volume all the time. And now we've got lazy ring crew guys that can't even be bothered to take down a cell. So hey, we're just going to have it on Raw. Another match. So anyway, we're going to jump right into SmackDown. And I noticed, like, this was a noticeably better show in certain ways. I actually think, like, overall, it was better than last week's show. Because last week we had a pretty terrible show capped off with a great main event. We had a Hell in a Cell match with Rey Mysterio and Roman Reigns. So, but the other parts of the show were just pretty much horrendous. So we start off with Jimmy talking to Roman, and this is a little bit surprising. After Jimmy criticizing Jay about being a kiss ass, now he wants to be Roman's right hand man. But I guess because now Jay is out of the picture, he's changed his mind. I mean, okay, I'm not going to come down on it too hard. The logic there is a little sketchy, but whatever. I like the acting. Always when Roman and the Usos are on screen, I'm always captivated. Maybe not as some things in the past, but I want to watch. The acting is good. It's very natural. They convey themselves well in these segments. So he needs to prove himself, Roman says. So up next, we go from, pretty good, acting, and some intrigue there because Jimmy's changed his mind. Now he wants to capitalize on the fact that his brother is not there. And then we go into the next segment, and it's just complete goofballery. And I don't understand how this is possible, but this is actually the first show that Bruce Pritchard is not on. They've taken him off as head writer, and it actually seemed like it was a little bit better overall, except for this shit. This was, I don't know how this is still on here. I guess this kind of proves that Bruce Pritchard is not responsible for a lot of the nonsense that we see. It's someone else. But we get Bianca Belair cutting her same old tired speech and everything. The enthusiastic baby face, make me want to vomit promo. Like I said, she is Rocky Maivia from 1996 pretty much. The smiling, hey, baby face that no one likes. No one liked this 25 years ago. Yeah, that's actually an accurate time. No, they're making a mistake that 25 years ago wasn't over, and all of a sudden now it's over. And Bruce Pritchard, when he was the head writer anyway, I don't know what he's doing now. He knew that. He was there for that time. He saw that The Rock did not get over with this type of smiley, happy baby face, happy to be there gimmick. But then again, a lot of people have that gimmick. I mean, isn't that really Ricochet's gimmick? We just spoke about him earlier on. Seth Rollins is coming out. He's still got a case of the giggles. Still laughing his ass off. And over what? I said I understand it's the classic villain laughing. But it's getting out of hand already, where half his promos, it's either, just him gloating, and the other half is just him laughing. Sometimes I feel like it's almost 75% of just laughs. I mean, if you were going to transcribe this promo, you'd have to put ha 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 ha, and then a little thing about him gloating about himself, and then ha 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 again. I mean, really, anyone's going to look at this and be like, what's this guy's problem? I get it, he's a heel, and we want him to kind of, not take people seriously and be full of himself, but how many people laughed like this? Did Jake the Snake laugh like this, as a heel? Did Piper laugh this much as a heel? He laughed sometimes. He had a smile, but it was sarcastic. He wasn't always laughing in people's faces consistently. Then we get Bayley coming out. I don't even know what's going on anymore with these outfits, the hair. I'm totally lost here with Bayley. What the appeal is supposed to be. Is it supposed to be creating heat because look at her? I don't know. Anyway, Cesaro comes out, and we've got team, Team Goody Two Shoes basically. Cesaro rushing to the rescue here, and we've got a mixed tag match. And here's the thing, what I have to say about we don't get to see these mixed tag matches enough, so it did feel kind of fresh. You seriously think back, you don't really get this anymore. They really keep them separated. So this was kind of something new. I don't remember the last time we saw one of these, so I didn't really mind seeing a mixed tag as much. It was just this complete dumbassery in the beginning with the laughing and the dry baby face promo, and Bayley coming out there and cutting her promo and looking at Bayley and Bayley just being there. Anyway, we get this match, and I can't stop but thinking to myself, it's the women's revolution and all that, and these girls are as talented as the guys, and they do it just as good as the guys, and you heard the lie 1,000 times in a row at this point. Gotta ask a question. Why are we not getting intergender matches? Like, we did it back, back during the Attitude Era. We did it during the Ruthless Aggression Era. All of a sudden, they decide, like, okay, it's PG, but now we're pushing the narrative that these girls are good enough. They're good enough to have their own Royal Rumble. They're good enough to risk their lives in Hell in the Cell and do dangerous spots. So, like, I don't get it. Like, them taking a wrestling move, Think about it. If Seth Rollins is really as safe as he says he is, wouldn't they not be at risk? I just don't get it. Why was it okay with Mark Merrow and Goldust to have that intergender match, and you could have Sable performing power bombs on Mark Merrow, and I don't get it. Why was that, back then when supposedly women were supposed to be in a subservient role and they were looked down on and everything, and Sable, she gave the women of wrestling a bad name, and made them into nothing more than just, sex objects, and all the narratives we hear constantly from all the SJW wrestling historians and journalists, when they actually had more freedom in the ring. They were able to express themselves more in the ring instead of now this real stringent system here where now even the guys can't even touch the girls. And, you got even before when we've got Bianca attacking Bayley and Seth is getting between them. And she's not even doing anything to Seth. Like, she's not even pushing him out of the way because, we can't touch and everything. It always has to be, like, accidental, that if you notice that. And that's what the finish is, basically. Bianca picks up Bayley for the KOD. Whoa! She loses her balance because Cesaro gets pushed into Bianca, which leads to Bayley taking advantage and getting the win. So, even the way how she kind of lost her balance was a bit goofy. Like, she just loses her balance. It's not even like she should go right down, the guy the size of Cesaro bumping into her. But she still, so she kind of undersold it, but in a way kind of like sold it in a weird way. Go and like watch it. Better off not, but if you really want to just see what I'm talking about, it just looked kind of bizarre. I don't know, like this, they're trying to give the illusion that they're equals, but they won't show it to you. And when they do, it's really goofy, meaning like that it's quite clear that they're not equals, that they can't hang with the guys, and they're just going to keep peddling that crap over and over. Come on. We already know that the jig is up. They're not getting their own pay-per-view again. They know that a lot of people don't like this. This is kind of just a very serviceable kind of, SJW thing. Like, it would be wrong to take it away, so we can't take it away completely. But, now I'm kind of seeing, like, Triple H said that. We're kind of now working the guys back into it. So maybe in certain ways they kind of see, like, this is not working, but I don't know. Probably not, because once again, we're back to having women having their own Money in the Bank. And I'm getting so sick of this. Like, we got to sit through one Money in the Bank. Then we got to sit through another for the women. They got to all have their own because we got to keep it fair and everything. Like, it's too much already. You sit there watching. It's like it got so carried away that now we have to have two Rumbles. And I talked about it's not like the Women's Rumble is bad, but it's just too much. And it makes the matches feel less special. You only used to get one Rumble a year. Now you get two. You used to get one Money in the Bank per year. Now you get two. Come on. Like, enough already. It's the same thing like Hell in a Cell. Like, you're littering the pay-per-view with Hell in a Cell matches. And I get that's the name of the pay-per-view. Money in the Bank, Hell in a Cell. But that, you fall into the trap of it being not as bad, obviously. But I said like with Impact Wrestling, with TNA, with Lockdown. Remember, every single match was the cage match, and it's not that bad, but you see what I mean. It's overkill. It's too much. You can't sit there seeing the same thing over and over. And these things are usually pretty long. So, I mean, we want to sit through two, 25-minute matches. Like, these matches basically take up a whole hour. And they may be good. They're rarely bad matches. But, two? Is it possible that maybe we just have one for the men and the women could just have a regular women's title match? And, these cash-ins are always just, it's kind of like the previous one. Unexciting, no one cares. I even, saw a suggestion from my friend Sergio Flores. He's right. Maybe take a few years off from this. I mean, every single year, we've got not one cash-in, but two cash-ins. And it's the same thing, and notice every year it's been more uneventful, and then we've had so many unsuccessful cash-ins. Then we had the ridiculousness with The Miz getting it back. I mean, they've cheapened it. They've beat it into the ground. And I understand that they want to make this something like the Royal Rumble, something to look forward to every year. But you killed it by having two, and now we're going to keep on doing it until the end of time. They're never going to take a break. We're going to have Money in the Banks forever. And, it would feel refreshing. What? Who's to say we need to have a Money in the Bank every year? And it's not as good as the Royal Rumble. Every single time we got people walking around with briefcases. Enough already. We've seen it. We've seen it now for how long? Ever since 2005, we've had Money in the Bank winners out the wazoo. It's time to, I agree with Sergio. Give it a rest already. Give it just a little break for it to recuperate a little bit, because it has been burnt to the ground. It's burnt out. It's tiresome. Then we get a Jimmy Uso backstage with Heyman. Heyman has said, that Jimmy, to prove himself, he could get him a match. And he says, go ahead and do it. So they make a match, and he's got a match now with Dolph Ziggler. And Heyman advises him, you better win, if you want to impress him, or there's going to be some consequences. Then we get Boogs and Naka Murphy in this coronation ceremony. And I'll give Boogs credit. He, the guy tries to be, charismatic with this gimmick he's given. And it's so limiting because it's not as deep as Elias. He's not really given a stage where he could do as much and cut a promo. He's just there to introduce himself and play Nakamura's theme song and do goofy faces and, introduce himself because he has a ridiculous name, so he goes Boogs all the time. And Pat McAfee. I mean, fans of Pat McAfee remember this guy as being, the on-the-field player and, the Barstool sports guy and all this. And, and seeing him just act like a complete jackass. And, I mean, when he did the thing with the water, it's funny. But I realized, something. It's not like me laughing along with Jerry the King Lawler because it's funny. I'm laughing at him because he looks ridiculous. The guy is playing a song on the guitar, and he's making this is fucking Metallica. He's watching Testament, and Alex Skolnick is shredding. It's Boogs. It's fucking Boogs. And and this guy is acting like this is the first time he's ever seen anyone, shred on the guitar. What complete nonsense. And it's not, it's not even like Boogs is even playing it that well. I mean, it's just a sloppy, little cover that he's doing. And Pat McAfee is acting like he hasn't been in entertainment and met celebrities, like he's acting like Boogs is the greatest thing he's ever seen. I mean, this is discrediting to him. I mean, really, I understand that he's a fan and he's using this as a platform, which I don't even understand because the ratings are low. So I'm always confused of why. I mean, this is obviously not really who McAfee is. But I mean, this is kind of like he's better than Byron Sex Addict. I'll give him that. He's better than that guy because Byron is just a bland goof. At least this guy is a lively goof. I noticed the difference with Mauro Ranallo. People said like, oh, that that guy he got too into it. He was too over the top, and people call him a goof. When Mauro Ranallo was actually really energetic. And it was well done, and he seemed to react in spots where it mattered. But McAfee's kind of overselling things. He's overstating things, and it's a little bit ridiculous. Like, I get it. We don't want people to be boring like Graves and Michael Cole, where it seems like these guys like need to have like a shot of caffeine or something because they need to wake the fuck up. So, there are qualities to McAfee that I like, but the overall performance, it's just, it's corny, it's goofy, it's cheesy. It's just, I'm watching the show and it just kind of reinstates the fact that this show is just full of, goofiness, basically. I mean, but this was ridiculous, and we had Corbin backstage. Oh, he took my crown. What's the point anymore? I am so happy to see Corbin not be the king anymore. I mean, that's refreshing. I mean, that's the other thing. Like, where is Nakamurphy going to go with this gimmick? Is he going to walk around with the crown and make goofy faces? I don't even know what anyone ever saw in this guy. Why people were marking out for Nakamurphy all this time. Like, seriously, this guy is just a goofy face making, just waste of time, really. There's nothing to this guy, really, that's interesting or intriguing or anything about his character. People herald him as this great wrestler, and he's like, okay, I guess, he does some okay kicks, I suppose. Like, where was this great wrestler that we heard about for so many years? Watch him in Japan. That's what we're going to have certain people comment, of course. Certain people will say that. But, all that build-up for Nakamurphy and everything, and, people just, they'll keep saying, like, oh, he was so much better in Japan. Or AEW would use him the right way. I mean, this guy has had more than enough opportunity to show us what he's all about. Trust me, when people are talented, they try. We see it with Elias, and we can see it shine through if they're really that good. Someone like this guy right here, Nakamurphy, I think he's pretty much shown us that there's not a lot of value in this guy. Quite frankly, I'm really surprised that he survived all the cuts, because what is this guy adding to the show exactly besides ridiculous faces? Then we go backstage and we see Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville fucking dancing with Nakamurphy. And I'm like, what kind of seizure-filled nonsense? This is Pearce. Like, huh? Like, what? Like, we've already watched Pat McAfee make a fool out of himself. We're already watching Nakamurphy go, ooh. We're seeing Baron Corbin crying his eyes out. Boo! They took my crown. And then we're seeing just two adults just going fucking like epileptic seizure. Like, what the hell? And then, if it couldn't get any worse, Rollins walks in, and he's still laughing. Yeah, he's still laughing his ass off, uncontrollably, mind you. Okay, I mean, this is getting out of control already. Every single segment, every time he appears, laughing. I mean, I can't overstate it enough. It's just the weirdest thing I've ever seen. It's the most exaggerated, sarcastic, evil guy, bad guy laugh that I've ever seen. And that's the thing. It's cartoonish. It's not realistic. Who the hell goes around? Do bad people in real life go around laughing? Yeah, people in mental institutions. Yeah, I mean, but that's not supposed to be Rollins' gimmick. I get it. He was supposed to be a violent lunatic who attacks Cesaro, but the next week, he was doing this. Oh, he was shaking his foot as he was laughing, like he was having a foot spasm. I mean, remember, I don't need a character. Being a great wrestler is my gimmick. There I go. I've even incorporated the laugh into my impression. I didn't even mean to do that. I mean, I'm just kind of left staring at my screen all the time like, what the fuck is he even doing? And people telling him, good job, Rollins. That's good. I really like how you're laughing hysterically, like you have a problem. I mean, and then he gets really serious with Pierce, saying he wants to have a world title match with Reigns. I never want to see this guy in any main event ever again. Can you believe that this is the guy that they had beat Brock Lesnar in 5 minutes at a WrestleMania? Can you even believe that? And you notice, like I said, that they haven't let this guy get anywhere close to the world title ever since the Fiend incident, because they realized that he's not a main event player, and he never really was. And we did have a lot of people putting him in over and everything. I mean, he injured people. He injured a lot of people. He ended Sting's career for a short time. He managed to recover now, and he's, wrestling in AEW. I get it, but come on. I mean, this guy has one of the worst track records I've ever seen. And you see just a lot of people just getting a lot of free passes. They're putting in terrible performances. He's cutting these ridiculous ass promos, and somehow we keep getting them every week. It's like Bayley. You back in the day, if you cut a shit promo, they were never going to give you a mic again. Now, keep giving them the mic. Yeah, they'll improve eventually, and they never do. So, up next, we've got Big E and Apollo Crews, and this was a pretty good match. I mean, these guys, they work really well together. I will say that. I am sick of seeing them, but, whatever. Commander Aziz gets thrown out. He gets caught cheating. Apollo Crews gets distracted, and Big E ends up getting the victory with the big ending. And okay, now it's time to really move on. Move the fuck on from this feud. I am so sick and tired of this. I mean, seeing this match constantly. And, Kevin Owens isn't there. There was no follow-up on Owens or his internal injuries. At Hell in a Cell, he's coughing all over the place. Then he's nowhere to be found. Not even an update. Maybe he checked into a hospital. Nothing. I'm not saying I want to see Owens, but you're following it. You probably want to follow up after the guy is coughing up a lung at the pay-per-view. Then we have Sami Zayn backstage. He's informed that next week he's going to have a Money in the Bank qualifier with Owens, but like I said, we don't hear from Owens or get any updates on Owens. Or we don't even hear anything about the fact that Owens was coughing up that lung at Hell in a Cell. Then he goes into the office with Scrap Heap Iron Pierce, and Pierce is once again the goofy ass faces. fresh off seeing him dance like a moron. That now we're getting this, and it's going to be a last man standing match. So here we go again with another Zayn Owens match. And I know I said I didn't hate the match at Hell in the Cell, but I said the same thing that I said about the Big E Apollo Crews match. It's enough already. We've seen it done to death. How many times are you going to keep doing this? Constantly rebooking the same match. It's not like the match was even that great. Like you want to get the most out of it, so you're going to keep rebooking this. You know what I mean? It's not like this is a great match or a great rivalry or anything like that where it constitutes various rematches. Like, it's enough already, and it's not even progressing really anywhere or doing anything. Fight forever. Okay, great. So we're just going to keep on getting Sami Zayn Owens matches if they're still working for the company in another year. Because remember, fight forever, so they got to keep on fighting. You might have seen them wrestle 200 times before, but get ready, because fight forever. Like, it's enough already. I'm so sick and tired of this, that we have to see these guys constantly wrestle. And yeah, and these are Money in the Bank qualifiers, so now there's even another excuse to get people in the ring and do even more pointless rematches. Then we get Carmella and Liv Morgan, and Liv comes out. Okay, first we get Sonya Deville. After seeing her dance around like a goofball, she comes out and gives Carmella a spot in Money in the Bank. I don't get why she's just being handed the spot while everyone else has to earn a spot. It doesn't really make any sense. There's no explanation. Liv Morgan comes out and she cuts one of the most scripted promos with all these little pauses in between. You don't deserve Money in the Bank. Talking just like Keith Lee. The same thing, not knowing how to cut a promo. So you have to memorize the whole thing, or you've been told to go out there and cut a memorized promo. I'm going to beat you and be in Money in the Bank. Liv Morgan is an attractive girl. She looks good, but she sounds horrible, doing these promos and everything and trying to get her to act tough, trying to make her act like a threat. And we don't even know what the character is, what she's trying to do. She deserves the spot, so she's whining about it, so she doesn't really seem like the baby face. She seems more like the heel, but Carmella's already the heel. And anyway, Liv ends up getting the victory here. She ends up stacking, doing a stacked pin and getting the win. And one of the most ridiculous things where this just cements the fact that we're watching children. We're not watching fully grown women. I'm seeing again, someone posted a picture, and I believe it was in Wrestling Gods over on Facebook. Picture of Jacqueline. Someone picked about a few weeks ago, someone posted a picture of Dawn Marie. I'm watching on Peacock. I'm watching the network. I'm watching Stacy Keibler and Trish Stratus, Tori Wilson. These were real women that looked like women. They didn't even look remotely like girls. You didn't even really think about their age. You're just wow, these are some hot chicks, and you're you wanted to watch, and it was engrossing due to that fact that these were mesmerizing looking women that really played their role, and it really proved that WWE was getting the hottest girls. But now, you get Liv Morgan here. And I don't mean to sound mean here, mean spirit or anything like that. But, we got Liv Morgan. They've really, exploited her mental state. The fact that this girl almost, took her own life. It's depressing and everything, but then we come on TV, and then there's a spot here where Carmella gets her foot on the rope, and we have Liv Morgan screaming, "Now!" And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, overacting much? Like, okay. I'm like, would you ever see Sable doing that? Would you ever see Tori doing that? Would you ever see Lita doing that? Would you ever see Dawn Marie doing that? Would you ever see Jackie Gator doing that? Jazz? Victoria? No to all. Yeah, no, they would not be doing that because you know why? Because they were professionals. Because, you know, maybe they had things going on in their life, but it wasn't exploited. And, like, I'm just saying, like, well, damn. I mean, you know, if you're trying to say that Liv, you know, had these personal problems, like, why is she acting like that on TV? Was she told to go out there and do that? Because I'm just like, took me like right out of the match. Not saying I'm like in the match, like, wow, what a stunning athletic contest. I'm just left standing there like, what the fuck is she doing? Why did she act like that? Like, you know, I get it. She's supposed to be mad. But first of all, like I said, once again, she's supposed to be the baby face here. That type of behavior, like having a little freak out moment, that would be heelish. But even this, like you'd see Jericho like complaining to the ref, but like, what the fuck was this? This was more than freak out. This was like beyond tantrum. This seriously was like a 3-year-old, but like not a normal 3-year-old even, like just really horrifying. Like if you go and watch this, it really about like, I'm not like overstating this like to try to be funny in this video or anything. Like I don't know if it's coming off that way. You know, this is not me, you know, just trying to make up a thing here to complain. I'm just saying, like, no, I looked at this and I was like, wow, there does seem like there's something off there, because the fact that she would even think to do that, I don't even think anyone would tell her to do that. Just saying. Just a little weird. But like, you've got, like I said, not to take it away from her, like, Liv is attractive, but I see a little girl here, which sort of kind of, in a way, makes me a little uncomfortable. You know, because I'm saying, don't you see the difference? Like I said, look at Dawn Marie, look at Liv. Liv is in her late 20s, but she's got this, like, weird, like, 18-year-old vibe to her. Like she never grew up. Like, she has that look to her. And Carmella, not so much. She's definitely closer to the Stacy Keeblers and the Tories of our time. But, you know, I'm looking at, like, Rhea Ripley and everything, and I see kids, I see children. I don't see, like, divas, like, real women. You know, I see, like, it really should be called the girls division. The girls title. Because these are not women. I'm sorry to say, but we've got Jimmy Uso defeating Dolph Ziggler, and I like this match. I like that there was a super kick and that it ended it. See, this is the reason why, no matter what anyone says about AEW, you know, and everything, WWE will always have the better matches. Now, yes, there was something ridiculous in this match which should have ended it. So in the same breath, Dolph Ziggler hits a fucking zigzag on the steel steps. How the hell is the match not over? He should have rolled Jimmy Uso's limp body, half-dead body in the ring and pinned him. I mean, a finisher on the steel stairs, like, almost breaking him in half. That brutal-ass looking finisher. I mean, not only does that kill Ziggler's finisher, I mean, I know we get it. We've already, you know, buried Ziggler as many times as we can count. I mean, he's been buried so deep into the earth that he came out, you know, down from the heavens again, basically. You know, so whatever the case may be, that looked ridiculous. But I like the fact that, you know, we're as far as away from the Young Bucks as we possibly can with this kind of a match. One super kick, and it's over. That's what I want to see. You know what I'm saying? Like, if Shawn Michaels ends a match with a super kick, is it like he only has the only magical super kick that's worthy of getting the victory? No, it should be like, if other people are going to use it, it should be just as effective. And, you know, I get it. Things like the DDT have been cheapened over time. Jake the Snake used to hit it, and that was a match ender. And then many other people use the DDT, and it's usually a transitional move. So it was really nice to see a super kick, which for a long time was in the state of a transitional move, and now it's kind of worked its way back up to being more than just that. So that was good to see. So, you know, there was good matches on this show. Truly. There really was. I mean, you had Big E and Apollo Crews have a pretty good match. You had this be a pretty good match. So, I mean, really from a match standpoint, I mean, it was decent. But we've got Roman Reigns up next. And he doesn't really even care about the victory. He no-sells it. Jimmy's all happy that he got the win and all that. And, you know, also add this in. Jimmy is a singles wrestler. Like, Jimmy and Jay have kind of proved themselves where, like, these guys were tagging together for so long, but they're really, like, delivering when they have these singles matches. They really are. Like, they go in there and they perform, like, main event level. And I'm just saying, like, I get more out of watching these guys. Like, they're more believable main eventers than Kofi Kingston or Xavier Woods by, like, a country mile. And, I mean, that really does say something. I mean, these guys are versatile. They're hardworking, and it shows. So, Reigns is here to deliver his State of the Universal title. And, you know, just before Reigns is about to say that there's no one else left for him to face, Edge makes his grand return. Edge beats the shit out of Reigns. He almost hits him with the concerto, but Jimmy makes the save. And instead, Jimmy gets plowed through the barricade once again. And, you know, the funny thing is that almost went through the barricade on Raw, and here we go with another barricade spot. I'm telling you, this is the most overused spot that WWE does. I feel like almost every month someone goes through the barricade, and this time it was 2 in a single month. And the month's not over yet, so maybe a third person will fly through the barricade. But I'm saying, like, this collapsible barricade thing. I mean, they never used to do this spot before. And somewhere down the line, they got the idea, like, we should do this spot. This, you know, and the spot's, like, okay. It's all right, you know, like, it's a gimmick, the barricade, and what's not gimmicked, but, like, it's okay to use it sometimes. But all the time, it just doesn't feel special. You know, this is not something like the like a table spot. It doesn't feel as satisfying as that when it's shown all the time. It just doesn't feel as versatile where it can be worked into every single angle. And I'm really getting tired of it. It's time to, like, just like Money in the Bank, give that spot a break. Do something else. So Edge is back. If you go watch Talking Smack, you'll see that they had Edge go into Adam Pearce's office and he got a match for Money in the Bank, which is really surprising. Like, I feel like something's going to happen in that match, probably because, like, they're not doing that at SummerSlam. So if that's the Money in the Bank match, like, what are they going to do for SummerSlam? Probably a gimmick match of some sort, I would imagine. But I'm just happy to see that match. I'm actually really happy because, like Edge even says in that the Talking Smack segment, this is the match that should have happened at WrestleMania. It truly was. And I was happy with the match at Mania. I said that match was great. But come on, like, they should have had this one at Mania. But at least they're having it now. And I am happy to see that. So, anyway, yeah, you know, you had a few good matches here. I felt like it was a tinge better because of that. But the Bayley, the Bianca segments, holy cannoli. This is just too much cringe. Then you go backstage and you see that nonsense. Then you got the Nakamurphy shit. I mean, holy shit. Really. There's still so much goofballery. I don't know if it's, a lot of Pritchard's like stuff being weaned out, and maybe they had this show already written up, and maybe next week we'll have less of it, but I got a feeling it's not really Pritchard, and it's just kind of like this is what they write nowadays, and it's, you've got some good stuff, inside, not like, decent stuff. Roman Reigns, that stuff is good. The Usos is good. Everything with them is pretty good. Decent to good, beyond bearable. I mean, meaning more in the positive light. So I don't get why they can't look at that and see that's good. How can we transfer that good onto everything else? Or is it just that impossible to figure out? Anyway, guys, I hope you all enjoyed the review. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Click the bell to get all notifications when I post all my new videos. I want to thank all my patrons for your continued support. And thanks again, guys. I will see you next time.